Good morning, Glenn Kirschner.
Good morning, Steph. How are you?
Until you can cradle me in your legal arms in D.C. April 4th for Sexy Liberal, I'm going to need some. I'm going to need some phone.
We'll have to do some phone cradling. How about that?
Yes. Glenn, I said it before. And we've talked about my Nuremberg prosecutor dad. I woke up and I thought that was frightening. It is frightening what has happened just since yesterday, and I know you've been all over Twitter about it. The headline, AG Barr has said all investigations of 2020 presidential candidates need his sign-off. Yesterday, he issued guidance that Senate and House campaign finance inquiries would also require DOJ leadership approval, too. You said this corrupt administration keeps blurring the lines of governmental demarcation in hopes it will forget those lines ever existed in the first place. And here we are, right? They're turning over private citizen Hunter Biden's information while defying the law and turning over Trump's taxes. We are in a new and frightening period today, aren't we?
Yeah, those couple of developments have me really concerned. Now, let me be clear. I really don't have a problem with the Department of Justice that decides if we're going to investigate presidential candidates or candidates for Senate or candidates for the House. That has to be approved at the highest levels of the Department of Justice and the FBI, including the FBI director and the Attorney General. I really don't have a problem with that in theory. The problem is when you have a corrupt Attorney General, you know full well what he's going to do. He's going to deny anyone a request to open an investigation into the president or any Republicans and grant the request to open investigations into all Democratic candidates or nominees. And here's the thing, Steph, you mentioned the Hunter Biden thing. I got to tell you, the criminal duplicity that I see in what is going on with Hunter Biden makes me really angry and concerned, because right after the acquittal, Senators Grassley and Johnson said, and they issued a press release, they said, we are requesting Hunter Biden's travel records from the Secret Service. And I think the second I saw that, I tweeted out, you know what? The administration would not give over a single document, email, shred of paper that would have implicated Trump. Let's see how quickly they are willing to turn over documents that might have anything to do with Hunter Biden or Joe Biden or a Democrat. And instantly they were turned over. That's criminal duplicity right there. The administration can't have it both ways, and I'm really concerned with what's going on.
Well, you said it best. You said Trump couldn't force Zelensky to do his dirty political errand, but Grassley and Johnson are all too happy to do Trump's dirty work. This is quite literally U.S. senators interfering in our free and fair elections by announcing a sham investigation into the Bidens. Obviously, word is Colonel Vindman is going to be fired today. He is obviously talking about prosecuting criminally Bolton, Schiff, I don't know, you name it. You retweeted Don Winslow, who said, I have multiple sources inside the Justice Department that tell me Barr became Attorney General. He shut down 6 separate investigations into Trump and Trump-related companies and surrogates. I'm told Barr has prevented 2 new investigations from moving forward. You said, which is why the House needs to make it rain subpoenas and enforce them with inherent contempt if necessary. We can't let this rampant corruption go unchecked and unabated. I agree with you, Glenn. Now is the time to just, the House got to go balls to the wall. We are in the fight of our lives for our democracy.
All we have left is the Congress. Now, we still have the courts, but I think we're losing the courts over time because of Mitch McConnell cramming unqualified judges down America's throat. But don't worry, the Trump Crimes Commission will take care of that. They will reopen all nomination procedures and all confirmation hearings, and they'll scour the transcripts for perjury. And if perjury is found, those judges will have to be evaluated for both prosecution and for impeachment. I mean, for gosh sakes, we saw Kavanaugh's perjury in plain sight over and over again. You don't need to be a prosecutor to see that. So these matters are going to have to be addressed moving forward. But right now, Steph, what we have is the Congress. And the Congress, look, just because they lost, I don't want to call it round one, but they lost the impeachment battle, we still have crime and corruption going on every day that still needs to be investigated courtesy of Congress's oversight powers. They need to do it. They need to issue subpoenas. And when the administration thumbs its nose at lawfully issued congressional subpoenas, they finally need to deploy the inherent contempt power and lock these people up until they
Yeah.
testify.
I like the fight in Nancy Pelosi, Glenn. She's doubling and tripling down. She is not backing down. She's not apologizing. We got to take a page from that. Speaking of perjury, you said Barr inarguably committed perjury. When asked by Senator Harris if anyone in the White House asked him to open an investigation, he first said he was grappling with the word suggested, then answered, I don't know. But he did know. That equals perjury. I don't know is not a perjury-proof answer. And you said the House has to stay high but go hard. They must move to impeach Barr. He lied to Congress. He lied about the Mueller report. He refuses to investigate obvious crimes by the administration. He's conflicted out of many matters, but refuses to recuse. And you say, oh, and then there's Epstein. I mean, it is hard to wrap your mind around it some mornings, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And you know, the danger grows by the day to our democracy and to our freedoms. And, you know, it's not hyperbole to say this guy's trying to be a dictator. I mean, it really is insane what we see unfolding. And I'm not going to criticize the House for the way it decided to conduct the impeachment inquiry in the first instance, but I think we have to ask ourselves the question, given the way the trial in the Senate played out, it couldn't have been more rigged because every trial in the country has witnesses and documents and evidence. And of course, the Senate impeachment trial didn't. So it wasn't a trial. It was just a bunch of speeches. So given just how heavy-handed Mitch McConnell is and how unfair he was and how much he overreached, how in the world can we say the House should continue to tie one hand behind its back by not deploying its inherent power of contempt to force the truth to come to light? And I wonder if they now are rethinking their decision to tie that one hand behind their back during the impeachment hearing in the House because it was going to be heavy-handed or seen as overreaching when we just saw the most heavy-handed, overreaching, unfair trial
Thank you.
in the Senate in the history of our country.
Glenn, they don't care if it's right or wrong, legal or illegal. You know, as you said, we got to go high but go hard because that's you said oversight hearings in the House should resume tomorrow and continue every day from tomorrow till November 3rd. If witnesses refuse to comply, as you said, inherent contempt. You said when you're fighting for justice, you go down swinging. And that literally, as you said, whether it's, you know, Susan Collins saying, oh, he's learned his lesson, he won't do it. You just retweeted Trump administration delaying arms transfers worth $30 million to the Ukraine, according to a new report. You said, and this benefits Russia. Trump is as consistent as he is transparent. All roads lead to Russia. Good work, Senate Republicans. You've neutered yourselves. November 2020 can't come soon enough, but you want to save our country. Register, vote. It is depressing, Glenn. It is frightening, but you're right. Now is not the time to lay down. That's what that whole thing was yesterday. That's what dictators do, right? Trying to strike fear, and I'm coming after all vengeance against anybody that crossed me.
Yeah, and the Senate Republicans have neutered themselves, and they did it with a rusty butter knife, and that thing's going to get infected.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And you can see Trump is going to get more unhinged and more out of control, and is going to trample on even more of our rights. And what in the heck are the Senate Republicans going to say? I mean, we know he didn't learn his lesson. How are they going to explain away future abuses that are even more dramatic and more damaging to our democracy than what we've seen Trump do already? What do they say in response to that? I don't know.
Yeah. You said the most important question now that Trump has been acquitted is what foreign leader will he be contacting tomorrow to urge, bribe, or extort interference in the upcoming election? And both the Senate and Barr has basically just given him a green light. Yeah. And I have to say, you did this whole thread that terrified everybody, as you tend to do. Someone named Laura said, now you're scaring me. Does he have the legal authority to postpone an election? And you said, does it matter, Laura? Not to be alarmed, but with Trump saying Article 2 lets him do anything he wants and Barr seconding that sentiment, I mean, Glenn, we really do have to be prepared for just about anything, don't we?
We do. And, you know, Congress has basically given over everything to Trump and the executive branch, not only the power of the purse, right, because Trump can do whatever he wants with congressional appropriations now. Not only have they given up on oversight, we still have the House, but they've largely said it's okay for the executive branch to refuse to comply with any oversight. You know, it's like, why don't they just give the president the power to declare war and shutter Congress altogether? Be done. Give him all of the powers, because that's kind of what you're on the road to at this point.
Yeah. Let's talk about me, because every now and again there's a light in the dark, right? You said, I hope people listen to Senator Romney's argument, taking down and destroying every single one of the positions taken by Trump's lawyers. Romney's arguments were, in a word, unimpeachable. You said Romney stated, as a matter of fact, what Trump did was a flagrant assault on our national security. How can any senator endorse, approve of a president who assaults America's national security? A vote to acquit is an announcement that you are willing to join that assault. And that's exactly what we have. And you said in this moment, Mitt Romney has made himself the de facto leader of the Republican Party. And I was saying, Glenn, the contrast between Trump's fake Christian, fake God talk that was so vomitous in this reality show State of the Union, contrasted with what is clearly Mitt Romney's deeply held faith, was really stunning, wasn't it?
Yeah, and we've had the Amash's crossover. We've now had Romney crossover. And as I've said, let's remember, Romney was the Republican nominee for president. It's not like this guy is Louis Gohmert or Jim Jordan, for God's sakes. This is a guy who actually has some sort of backbone and some principle and some morals and some ethics. I mean, he seems to mean what he says on the religious front. Not all sort of, professed religious people do. But I still think it's not going to stop at Amash and Romney. It's got to continue, because I do think when the Republicans in the Senate gave him a pass and he continues to ratchet up the abuses, there have to be some more thinking people who will say, you know what, we gave it a shot, but at some point we have to walk away from this aspiring dictator.
Well, Glenn, cowardice can be contagious, and so can courage, and we have to hope that that's the case. And when Mitch McConnell said, "Oh, this is a big loser for the Democrats politically," no, I think when 82% of the American people say he did something wrong, and we want to see witnesses, this is again the whole the arc of I get that wrong every time. The arc of justice is long, but it always whatever, you know what I'm saying. The moral universe is long, but it always bends toward justice.
The arc of the moral universe is long, but surely it bends toward justice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
MLK quote. Yeah.
Thank you. Only I
Here's the thing, Steph. I swear we're going to have a blue wave, and we're never going to be able to stop mopping up that blue wave when it hits November 3rd, 2020. Yes, they're going to try to interfere in the elections. Yes, there are going to be disinformation campaigns. Yes, we might even have some nefarious actors trying to vote into our election, to hack into our voting systems. I am absolutely confident that this man is going to get crushed in a landslide, and I will hold tight to that, and I believe that to my core.
Not a blue wave, a blue NAMI. We are very excited. Glenn, I knew you would make us all feel better. You are one of those lights in the dark, and I just can't thank you enough. The service you guys are doing for America, because it is really, we have never, we've confronted a lot in America. I don't think we've confronted actual fascism. I mean, this is really frightening. So thank you, honey. And another day that's very important besides November 3rd is April 4th, when I will be cradling Glenn Kirschner in person on panel at DC Sexy Liberal.
I can't wait, Steph. I can't wait.
Me too. All right. Thank you, Glenn.
All right.
There he goes.